What is happening, mediocre people of YouTube? So I'm doing another little quarantine project here, and you guys that have been following the channel will recognize this guitar very well. This has been a great guitar. It's been a pleasure to play, and I actually picked this up. I traded this up for Chinese Epiphone Les Paul Jr. And for those of you who don't know about this guitar, this is a Stag. And these particular ones here, I don't know whether these were the prototypes or what, because I've only seen one other one that's exactly like this, and it was blue. Now I've seen the other ones that are a little bit different. And they have a more heavily flamed top to them and a little bit different design on the headstock and so forth. This guitar came to me, it was a great player, had some high action, which I'm going to get to in a second, which I should have been a little more concerned about, and I'm going to tell you why in a minute. I added a Wilkinson roller bridge and EMG 8185 pickups. The original pickups that were in it, they were alright, but you know, I play a lot of guitars with the EMG 8185. I really like the tone, but turns out, I mean, even though I thought it was just a cheap guitar, and it is, turns out to be a really great player. I replaced this nut with a Tusk nut, which I really like. However, this guitar was flawed from the very get-go. It's a factory defect is what it is, and it happens to a lot of guitars, not just cheap guitars, even expensive guitars. This guitar has the dreaded back bow from about the 2nd fret back, which if you don't know what that's like, and I'll get to this, I'll just show this real quick. If you don't know what I'm talking about, this is when you have great and you get to the 2nd fret and you've got buzz. So what happens, you know, your truss rod, you think about your truss rod adjustment is right about underneath the 1st fret, and your truss rod really doesn't start to work until about right after the 2nd fret. Really all your truss rod really does is lift the middle of the neck. So this is one of those guitars that was manufactured with a factory defect of the dreaded back bow. I have corrected this. I have a method I use that includes heat and bracing, and I corrected a lot of this. However, I live in Michigan, and we have some pretty crazy climates here, and this time of year, you know, humidity goes up, and I try to keep my guitars, you know, in the right type of humidity, but you know, I do the best I can. But when this time of year comes up and the humidity actually goes up, this is when this buzz gets worse. So first off, the nut that's on here is the incorrect radius, so that's first and foremost, but it's still, but you can tell it's even worse in the middle. So what I've decided to do, and I've been thinking about this for a long time, and now that we're all kind of quarantined, I'm going to go ahead and do it. I've been thinking that I have installed a couple of the ZeroGlide 0 fret nuts. And what I've been thinking about for quite a while, and I know this is the correct radius on this one, and that the 0 fret will probably be just enough to correct that buzz. You know, like I say, once you get on the 3rd fret, all the way up the neck, it's great, and it's got a nice low action. It's just on the 2nd fret and back. So I'm going to go ahead and install this, and I'm not going to bore you guys with the whole install because I already did a video on that. But I do want to, you know, one of the reasons I want to make this video was to talk about the ZeroGlide 0 fret system, and because I really like the company. They have excellent customer service. Excuse me. When I ordered one for my Devlin Les Paul, and I assumed at that time that the string spacing for that Les Paul was that of an Epiphone, which it is not. So I got a hold of the guys at the ZeroGlide, and they replied very promptly. And I told them what was going on. I said, you know, I don't even know what I'm going to order, but even if you could send me a blank, that would be great. So he asked me if I was capable of measuring the correct spacing for it, because he wanted to put it in their database for the next person that ordered a guitar. That really impressed me. So anyway, we found the correct nut, the correct string spacing for it, and I also had to modify that one a little bit, and he sent me a blank as well. Okay, and no charge. You know, I only paid for the very first one I bought, and he sent me a blank, another nut, and I've got another one. I've got it on what, 3 guitars now, I think. So I had this one, which is a spacing for, I believe, if I remember correctly, this one is the spacing for the Epiphone, which happens to line up perfectly here. So I'm going to go ahead and try this and see what happens. Like I said, I'm not going to bore you guys with the whole video, with the whole install. The install is very simple. You do have to cut the fret once you install it. You just install it like any other nut. And then this little fret, this little guy sits right, there's a groove in here. I don't know if you guys will be able to see it. Oh yeah, there's a groove in there, and that fret sits right in that groove. You know, you do have to cut the fret to size, but that's no big deal. And then it just goes right, it drops right in. I mean, it's like almost like as plug and play as you can get with that. I already have this fret cut from another guitar. It's pretty close. These are pretty big frets. I don't know if they're quite 6,000 fret wire, but the biggest one I have is on another guitar. So if I need it, I guess I'll switch them out because it's on the Hondo. But I think this is going to work. So I'm going to go ahead and do this, and then I will come back and show you guys what I found out. Alright, so because of awesome camera work, about an hour later, and I went ahead and installed this ZeroGlide nut, and I had to put a little more relief in the neck, but we have no more buzz, which is very cool. I might put a little bit more relief in because this is the guitar that I typically keep tuned down an entire step. That is how this happened. It was mint until I went to set one guitar down. I turned around to grab this one, and I knocked it off the stand. It was mint until that. Like I said, I don't know if this was like their very first run of these, because I know I've seen on YouTube, I've seen some other ones which are the same body style. I've seen some of the stop tail bridge, as well as a well, I'm not sure, I can't think of the name of it, regular bridge, you know, like with a trem on it, with a vibrato, let's say. Let's stop saying trem. But yeah, they're really cool guitars. But like I said, this is one of those that had the had a back bow right about at the 2nd fret. And I'm not saying that the ZeroGlide, that this fixed that, because I did put more work into this before I did this. But what I am saying is that if you happen to have a guitar which has the dreaded back bow around the 2nd and 3rd fret, if it's, you know, if it's slight, you may get away with just installing one of these guys. And I mean, man, when you install one of these guys, I mean, if you like super low action, I'm going to try to, here, let me take this off of here, and I'll show you guys. These, I mean, you can really dial in a very nice, there's a pretty good shot. And that's at what? That's almost at the, where's the 12th fret at? Looking at the camera. There's a pretty good shot there. You can really dial in a very nice and low action and have no fret buzz whatsoever. I think this is about the third one of these I've installed. And again, part of the reason I wanted to make this video is I just wanted to give a shout out to these guys again, because I think they're a really good company. Again, the ZeroGlide Nut System. The install is simple. You don't really do a lot of cutting the nut. You don't need to, because the nut is basically just functioning to guide the strings to where they're going at this point. And if you have the Epiphone headstock, this guitar has a pretty decent string pull, but like the Epiphone headstock, the Gibson headstock, my Devlin headstock, just terrible string pulls on them. This can really help a lot, because you're going to eliminate a lot of binding, where I know you can cut those nuts so that you're not getting binding off those either, but like I said, they're really good. They're a neat company, and they have excellent customer support, and I really dig their products. So I don't get paid for this or anything like that. I'd like to, if I see a good YouTuber, I promote him on my channel. You guys know that. So yeah, happy with this, because this has been one of my main players for quite a while. I got to tighten up this tone knob here. EMG 8185s, again, EMG, a great company too. Great customer service, great product, the way it's put together, their solderless system. I mean, why aren't all guitars like that? There's just no need to solder stuff in like that. It's so much easier. If I want to switch these pickups out or add an afterburner or something to this, it's really simple with the way they have it, and I don't have to pull out my solder gun, EMG, again, another company with phenomenal customer service. I'll tell you a real quick story about them, and then I'm going to get off here. But I actually got taken on a set of EMG 8185s. They were fakes. Didn't know it. They looked exactly the same, wired up exactly the same. First night I plugged in, my guitar was squealing like a motherfucker. And, your guitar don't squeal with EMGs, ever. And so I knew something was wrong. Got in touch with, I can't remember the guy's name, I wish I could say it. Anyway, got in touch with him via email. He said, hey, send them to me and I'll put them on the bench, see what's going on. And I'll let you know. I overnighted them to him. And I think it was the next day or the day after that at the very latest. And he sent me an email, said, hey man, they're fakes. Sent you a set for my bench. I hope that's okay. So yeah, I think it was this set that they just replaced them. They didn't have to do that, man. And I've said that many times on this channel that I think customer service, really good customer service, is something we're missing a lot of these days. And so anytime I find a company that has good customer service, I try to give them a shout out. So yeah, like I said, this had the slight back bow at the second fret, which is a nightmare for a lot of people. And with this one, it was so slight. I put some work into this. I braced it and heated it up and got most of the back bow out, but there was just a tiny bit left. And as I suspected, I even glued this in before I tried it, because I kind of suspected that this is going to take care of it. Not only because of what I thought about, but also this is the right radius as well, where the other nut was not quite the right radius. It was still buzzing on every string though, but it was a little bit more prominent in the middle because it wasn't the right radius. So alright, that's what I got for you guys. Hope everybody's well, hope everybody's staying healthy, and until next time, stay mediocre.